I remember using a technique when I was a child, but at that time I did not know the meaning of this technique. I did not know the name of this technique, who invented it, who discovered the entire process. But when some concepts were difficult, when we were not able to completely comprehend and recollect the ideas, we used to sit in groups and discuss. And I thought it was a part of combined study. Actually, there is a name to this technique. I'm going to give you the entire process, and it will definitely help you when it comes to communication skills and learning any language. Not only language, any concept, any idea. Now, this is not applicable only to most difficult concepts. You can try this with easy concepts to register, recollect, and also experiment with the things that you already know. It helps you trace the prior knowledge, and there could be certain areas that you're already familiar with, but you may not have a complete idea. So, this is a technique that will help you clarify and fill the gaps. Now, what is it about? What is the entire process, and how is it going to help you? Of course, I had boring teachers, and some of them were not accessible also. At that time, we used to sit in groups and clarify the concepts. And I'm going to give you the exact technique here, but I found out, maybe because I did not read enough earlier, but this was discovered by Richard Feynman. This technique is known as the Feynman technique. Have you heard of this technique? You would have. But how can it help us when it comes to learning English? It helps you with communication skills, retention, boosts your confidence, and there are more benefits. And I think we use this without knowing the name. At least you would have tried it out. But let's take a closer look at this technique. Okay, before delving into the topic, my name is Renee Rose Matthew. I'm a CELTA certified tutor and also an author. Now, what about this technique? It is the Feynman technique. This technique was discovered by Richard Feynman, a Nobel laureate. And he discovered this technique not to only help English learners, but you can use this anywhere. He did not have any particular area of academics or topics when he discovered this. You can use it in math, physics, chemistry, or any difficult concept. Even if the concept is simple, the pattern, the process involved is to break it down. Now, let's take an example to understand this better, and then I'll give you the advantages. Here, what's done is a simple or a complicated topic is broken down into smaller units. And after that, you identify the gaps. Later, you recap, recall, and it registers better in your mind. You wouldn't have understood most of the aspects of this technique. It's okay. When I read it the first time, I was not able to understand it completely, but let's break it down. Today's topic is prepositions, and many people struggle with prepositions. Prepositional phrases are also there. Now, let's take prepositions. You know that in English grammar, we have got words that show the relationship between a noun or a pronoun and other words in a sentence. Now, let's take a look at some of the examples. They often indicate location, time, direction, and other connections. And some of the examples are in, on, at, to, from, by, with, towards, beneath. So many prepositions are there. This helps us in identifying the location, time, and also the relationship between noun, pronoun, and other aspects and other parts of the sentences. You know the exact function of a preposition. Now, you have selected the topic preposition, and after that, suppose you don't know the meaning of these words. I'm just taking a simple example that many of you can comprehend very easily. So the first part is to select the topic, after which you tell yourself what exactly the meaning of preposition is. So you have to imagine that you're a teacher and that you're speaking to a small child who may not be able to understand all the words. So you shouldn't be talking from your level all the time. Later you can. So first you're introducing the topic, and there you're going to tell the child, assuming to be a teacher, a mentor, or a guide, that prepositions are. What are prepositions? We have some words in the English language and they help us decide the location, time, all these things you can say. But after that, what happens? You may not know the meanings of all the words. If you don't have anybody to listen to you, you can just tell yourself what it actually means using simple words. And then after that comes the next step, that is explain it simply. That is what I've been speaking about. Tell yourself what it exactly means. And when you explain this concept, make sure that you use very easy to understand words. You shouldn't be using technical words in the beginning. So that establishes the foundation. It establishes the foundation of the prior knowledge, what you already know. When you teach someone, you make sure that you know the concept clearly. Even if you don't know everything, you should be knowing the concept clearly, and that can be expressed in simple words. The third part is to identify the gaps. What is the exact meaning of identifying the gaps? You may have some words like location, time, relationship between, noun, pronoun. All these words are there as part of preposition. So we are not to look at the definition. You can keep away the definition for the time being. You are trying to establish a connection with the concept. You're trying to find out how much you know through this technique, and then you're going to identify the gaps. So look at these words used in the preposition: location, time, noun, pronoun, relationship between words, all these things. So suppose the person to whom you're explaining, or when you're explaining to yourself, if you can't understand completely the meaning of noun, pronoun, location, time. Now here I'm not trying to say that you may not know the meaning of these words, but suppose you choose a concept where you come across keywords. So first you begin explaining in a very simple way, but after that you may have these keywords. And when you're not able to exactly identify the meaning, when you're not able to completely comprehend the meaning, tell yourself, I don't know the meaning of these words exactly. You may have a partial knowledge, but you know that partial knowledge is going to trap you in the future. If you don't understand the meaning and also the exact concept, underlying concept and idea behind these keywords, it will not help you understand the overall concept of preposition. So you have to understand the meaning of location, time, noun, pronoun. So identify the words or the areas where you really need more explanation. And there you can refer to some resources also. So write those keywords. So suppose you don't know the meaning of location, find out what is the meaning of location, because we are dealing with language. Tell yourself what is the meaning. Then time, try to give an example. Okay, I'm just giving you very simple examples here. I'm reiterating that I do not mean to say that you don't know the meaning of these simple words. And then you can try finding out some of the other words and tell yourself the meaning. Now, for example, when you take science, if you have this process photosynthesis and you're not able to understand the meaning of leaves, the passing of water, the dispersal of water from this area to the leaves, from the roots through the shoot to the different parts of the plant, you may not be able to identify the meaning of all the keywords. That's what I'm trying to say. So here you find out the meaning of the words that you're not sure of. And the last step is to recall and register. Imagine that you have referred to some resources. After finding the meanings of all these words, you can go to the next step. You go back to your learning resources. You can refer to textbooks, articles, as I mentioned earlier, to fill in those gaps. And then you refine your explanation, because here you're going to find the meanings of the words that you do not know, making it even simpler, clearer. You can use daily life experiences, examples, metaphors, daily life examples, and relatable situations that can help you understand these concepts. So earlier you identified the gaps. The real referring part comes in the last step, where you review and then you go over the whole process again. So you find out the meanings in the last step, and after that you review. You try recollecting this big term preposition by comprehending, recollecting the meanings of the words that helped you identify the gaps. So here you're going through the process again. To encapsulate the whole process, the first thing is you choose a topic, and after that you tell yourself the concept in simple words. So when you're explaining, make sure that you use very easy words, simple words. If you're thorough with the meanings of some vocabulary words, okay, fine. If you're very sure of the meaning of words that you have been using all the time in your conversation, then definitely you can go for that. But it's advisable to use simple, easy words because you are trying to teach a child or you're trying to explain the whole thing to somebody who hasn't even heard of this concept in life. So the two steps are covered here. You choose the topic and then you try simplifying it, explaining it. And the third step is to identify the gaps. You look at the words that are really incomprehensible, that you forgot, or the words that you're not very clear about, the underlying ideas, whatever it is, you write those words. Even if you have three-fourth knowledge, three-fourth idea of a particular word or a concept, write it down because referring to something that you already know is also good. I come across some people through my emails and in the comment section where they fail to watch a particular video thinking that they know everything, in the sense they try to clarify the same point that's already given through the video. If they just have the patience to watch the entire video, they will definitely get the answer to that. So, repetition is good. But before you assume that you know this concept very well, write down the things that are really vague. It'll clear the path to this main idea, the main concept, that is preposition. And after that, you review. After finding the meanings, you can check the textbooks, you can check Google, you can ask somebody, you can discuss with your friends. And after you get the meanings of all these words, you can go through the process again where you have these words at the back of your mind, use these words because you already know the complete meaning, and try comprehending and correlating, coordinating with the original term, that is prepositions. Once again, you try speaking about it. Now, what is the use of this technique? It helps you boost your confidence because here you may get a chance to use the vocabulary words that you have been learning for a very long time. It boosts your confidence. It also enhances your communication skills because repeatedly you have to explain something that you presume to be very easy or to be very simple. At times, some concepts can be very difficult to understand, but when you go through this step by step process, you're breaking down into minute particles. Okay, just like how you take a closer look at matter and you know that it's made of molecules, atoms, smaller particles. So you are trying to dissect and break it down into smaller portions. Many people are not able to retain what they learn, especially when it comes to phrases, vocabulary words, and all. This technique can definitely help you because again and again you're trying to give examples, you're trying to explain to somebody else or to yourself that this is the meaning and this is where I need clarity. And some words may have more than one meaning. You don't have to confuse yourself. You can try learning the general meaning. Suppose it is a word with a noun form and a verb form. Just look at that. Be clear with that. It may have more than 5 meanings. Look at the general meaning and walk yourself through this technique. But it is also establishing a very close relationship with a concept which helps you to clear the path towards an area of study. Find a little bit about the history if you want, otherwise, stick to a particular area and you will know how to wade through the topic, navigate easily without getting confused. So you are establishing a kind of relationship with the area of study. Suppose it is English language, yes, I know this word, and out of curiosity, if you feel that I want to find the history of the word, you can do that. So there will be clarity. There won't be any space for miscommunication. When you look at some of the companies and some of the educational institutions, it's unfortunate to see that they have many areas to be cleared through. Like they have space for miscommunication, which actually creates tension among team members, among faculty members, and even students. But when you do this repeatedly, it actually helps you to filter the gap and fill the gaps. Now remember, you have to be sincere here. You can't fool yourself and you can't assume that you know everything or you know the meaning of this word. You read it maybe 3 days back. Tell yourself what's the exact meaning. You have to go through that 3 minutes or maybe just a minute to tell yourself the exact meaning or give you the exact example. Additionally, when you presume that you know something, you could really be making a mistake where you may have to revise and go through some gaps, some fissures that can definitely help you understand the bigger concept. And the next point goes without saying, that is review and simplify. Simplifying concepts help you to understand things better. Today, we know that we give a lot of importance to vocabulary words, advanced phrases, but people find it so difficult to express something that's familiar. For example, if somebody asks you, would you please guide me to the hospital that's located in that particular street? I'm not sure of the direction. So you will think, yes, I know the location, but I don't know how to express in English. Suppose somebody asks you about something that you're too familiar with, you may not know how to express. It's just because of lack of communication. It's not that you get stuck. It's not that you don't get the words. It's only because you haven't been going through this process. Walking yourself through the process is important. It will help you to increase, enhance, and also work on the proficiency towards any language. As I mentioned in one of my earlier videos, nobody is proficient in their mother tongue as well until and unless you go through this process, until and unless you walk yourself through this process. Language learning is good, it is a skill. At the same time, remember that communication skills become better. It helps you build your communication skills only when you work on your language, sentence. It's not just words, but thought flow, coordination of ideas. Please watch those videos where I have mentioned clearly about the steps. Okay, I hope you get a clarity on this. It can be used in any topic, any area of study. Let me know how you find this process after going through this process earnestly, sincerely, without any cheating. I believe you all. When you really want to work on yourself, take yourself to the self learning process, which is actually beautiful. You will be able to understand that there are some gaps. When you identify the gaps, don't think that you don't know anything. When you filter the gaps and when you try filling those gaps, you're going to thank yourself later because that helps you towards progress without even an inch of doubt and confusion. Okay, so keep doing that and happy learning.